August 21st, 2022, End of Day, Sunday. Our Father who brings down the great kingdoms that pridefully rise above all other kingdoms. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 31, verses 3 to 9, records the words that the Lord told Ezekiel the prophet to say to Pharaoh, who stands in for the spiritual king over the spiritual kingdom of Egypt that now undertakes to rule the earth and oppress God's people. The passage reads this way: Who can be compared with you in majesty? Consider Assyria, once a cedar in Lebanon, with beautiful branches overshadowing the forest. It towered on high, its top above the thick foliage. The waters nourished it, deep springs made it grow tall. Their streams flowed all around its base and sent their channels to all the trees of the field. So it towered higher than all the trees of the field. Its boughs increased, and its branches grew long, spreading because of abundant waters. All the birds of the sky nested in its boughs. All the animals of the wild gave birth under its branches. All the great nations lived in its shade. It was majestic in beauty with its spreading boughs, for its roots went down to abundant waters. The cedars in the garden of God could not rival it, nor could the junipers equal its boughs, nor could the plane tree compare with its branches. No tree in the garden of God could match its beauty. I made it beautiful with abundant branches, the envy of all the trees of Eden in the garden of God. Ezekiel the prophet was instructed by God to speak to the kings over spiritual Egypt that is to rise up and is now risen as a global power and oppressor of the people of God. He was to speak to the kings of Egypt and tell them to consider the kingdom of Assyria, which was once a great and beautiful tree that was more splendid than any other tree in the garden of God. Yet, as this tree of the kingdom of Assyria rose higher than any other tree in the garden, and was filled with pride because of its height, the Lord rejected it, and it was thus torn down by a ruthless foreign nation. It was brought low into the realm of the dead. The word of the Lord in the prophecy then turned to Pharaoh, the ruler of the spiritual kingdom of Egypt that is now ascending. Even as the oppressive kingdom of Egypt has risen in height and splendor over all other trees in the garden of God, it too will be brought down, and it will lie dead among the slain. The Lord is mighty in power, and will destroy the tree of the garden of God that presumes to rise higher than any other tree and glory proudly in its own height. Amen.